Hello everyone and welcome to my corner of the world. Today I'm going to share a little tip with you on how we can put greetings onto cards where we're not necessarily stamping directly onto the card base, or we don't feel strong enough that we're going to get a good level stamp on there, and or if we have already stamped on there and we need to cover it up. Now, we have lots and lots of greetings in the Stampin' Up range of stamp sets, and a lot of them will fit a punch or a die. But if you don't have a punch or a die for a particular greeting, I came up with this idea the other day when I was working on something, and I'm just going to share it with you now. And that is to simply have a little strip of card. You can see this one here. I've stamped hello, and then I've just cut off the two ends at an angle and pop that on my card, and that fits my little hello perfectly. I have another one here, again another hello, a larger one this time, and again I've used a wider piece of cardstock and stamped, and then just cut the ends off at an angle. And on this one I've put a couple of little rhinestones on there just to give it a bit more of a pop. Then on the next two I decided I wanted to layer them, and so here I've layered it onto a piece of red cardstock, and then on this one is even bigger and I've layered it onto some rich razzleberry. So I'm just going to share with you how I do that. So I've always got scraps of card in my stash, and I'm sure you have too. And so I just go through my box and I look to see for something that is wide enough for the stamp that I want to use. And this one here comes from Healing Hugs, and it says wishing you a complete and quick and complete recovery. And it just about fits onto this, and this piece of cardstock is probably about an inch wide. And then the other greeting I've got here is from Perennial Birthday, and it says today blooms just for you. And when I line it up and find a scrap of card, and this is probably about 3/4 of an inch here, then all I do is go and find the coordinating cardstock, coordinating with my ink or whatever it is that I want to pull, and I cut a piece about 1/4 of an inch wider than the piece than my cardstock. And once I've got those pieces, then I'm ready to go. So I'm using Cajun Craze, but for no other reason that I happen to have some scraps of Cajun Craze cardstock handy. And I'm just going to ink up my stamp. And I want to make sure that I don't stamp too close to this end, because then I won't have enough room to cut my chamfer or my angle, whatever you'd like to call it. So I'm just going to pop it, and I'm going to eyeball it for level. I can't look at it really closely because I don't want to get my head in the camera, but that's not too bad. And then for my other one, I'm going to, I didn't put the label on this one. Anyway, it doesn't matter if it's upside down when I stamp it, because I just turn it around the other way. So then I'm just going to pop this on my smaller piece of card again. I don't want it too close to the end there because I want to be able to cut my angle. And there we go. I did get it the right way up after all. So I get my ink out of the way, because I do have a habit of getting my elbow in ink when it's there. Just going to go get my paper snips, and I'm just going to look at this and decide where I need how big I need my angle to be. I'm going to try and keep my scissors roughly at that angle, and again let's get that out of the way so you can see. So my angle is like this, so I'm going to try and keep my angle the same, and then cut off there. And then I'm going to get my piece of colored cardstock, and I'm going to be using liquid glue. And you may have heard me say this many times on my videos, but particularly with this little tip I'm sharing with you, because we've got a very narrow border that's going to be showing on this cardstock. This liquid glue gives me a chance to swiggle it around until I've got a nice border, top and bottom, like that. And then I'm just going to go in with my paper snips, and I find it best to do it in one go rather than little snips. So if you want to use a larger pair of scissors, you might find that easier. And I'm just lining up my scissor blade with the edge of my vanilla cardstock, and I'm just going to cut it in one go, and then the same the other side, like that. And so there I've got my piece that's got a nice coloured layer. I'll just show you one more time with this other one. So again, I'm going to choose my angle and then try and keep it much the same, like that. Then out with my liquid adhesive, and again, as I said earlier, this is about an inch. This piece of cardstock is about an inch, and it's being layered about 1 1/8 of an inch, maybe there. Again, my liquid glue allows me to squiggle and smoosh it around until I get a nice even level layer, top and bottom. And out with my scissors, and I'm just gonna cut, and I haven't got that very narrow, not as narrow, so I can go back in and cut it again, and then again there. So there we are, and then I can stick it onto my card base with some dimensionals or some snail adhesive or liquid adhesive, whichever works. Well, I hope you've found this little tip useful. I must admit, I do like the way that it's kind of turned out with this quite recently. So if you look at the bottom of underneath this video, you'll see a link to my blog, and there'll be a bit more information on there at that time. In the meantime, thank you for joining me. I appreciate your time. See you next time. Bye for now.